Stealing from the elderly, it is a growing problem across Wisconsin.
Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson shows you why caregivers suspected of financially abusing their elderly clients frequently go unpunished. Brian?
Yeah, Ted and Steph, Franklin police say they had a tight case against a professional caregiver accused of fraud until something happened that derailed the case, something millions of Americans face that makes them especially vulnerable to financial exploitation.
If you want to have a seat right here, you can.
Yeah.
When Grace Rutkowski arrived to chat with Franklin police in the summer of 2018,
Oh, she's good looking.
she still had a sharp sense of humor.
How did you get her?
Police recorded this interview to prove the 83-year-old was competent.
How do you feel about this money being taken out of your account?
I don't like it, but I think they misunderstood me.
She's able to answer the questions very clearly.
Captain Craig Learman says it was the final piece of a nearly 18-month investigation into this woman.
And you were charged with theft from Grace Rutkowski.
I wasn't charged.
You were charged. I have the records.
In September of 2018, prosecutors charged Nicole McAtee with a felony for allegedly stealing more than $17,000 from her elderly client.
She never wanted to proceed with anything. The state pushed it.
We first bumped into McAtee at a Southside gas station.
I couldn't believe the coincidence.
Standing at the very ATM police say she had used to defraud Rutkowski.
How'd you know it was me?
She promised to call, but never did, until earlier this week,
taking advantage of the vulnerable,
when her face appeared in a promotion for the story.
This lady had a spending habit.
McAtee was hired in September of 2016 by Visiting Angels, a home care agency that assigned her to care for Rutkowski at her Greendale apartment.
How long after you met her did you get her debit card?
A year?
A year?
Yeah. Like maybe 6 months to a year.
Actually, police say it was the same month McAtee started caring for the elderly woman. There was a dramatic increase in activity on the elderly woman's bank account.
Why did you let her to have the card?
Because I needed some clothes and that from Walmart.
Okay.
This is surveillance video from Walmart, and that's McAtee, stocking up on everything from Gatorade and Easter candy to laundry soap and a stack of DVD movies, then using Rutkowski's debit card to pay for it.
Did you take that to her?
Yeah, everything we bought was taken to Grace.
Police say Rutkowski never saw any of it.
Did she have permission to buy things for herself with the card?
No.
No? Okay, so it was strictly set up
For me.
Records show McAtee repeatedly used the card at an ATM just blocks from her own apartment and nowhere near Rutkowski's.
I would grab the money here and then go to her house.
4 months after they first met, Rutkowski signed documents making McAtee her power of attorney, giving the caregiver legal control over all of her finances.
She said, would you like to be my POA? And I said, Grace, I don't know what that is.
But why would you say yes to that if you don't even know what it is?
She didn't have family.
Why did you do that?
Because I didn't have one and I needed one.
She clearly established a relationship, developed a trust, and then took advantage of that trust.
Visiting Angels told police the POA agreement was against company policy, and days after they learned of it, McAtee stopped coming to work. Rutkowski moved to Lake Point Manor in Franklin, but McAtee kept her debit card and her power of attorney, and police say she kept on spending her former client's money.
Financial exploitation is a crime of opportunity and greed.
Doreen Getch is coordinator of Adult Protective Services for the Wisconsin Department of Health, and last year she says agencies across the state took nearly 9,000 calls about elder abuse, 20% of them involving financial exploitation.
These are crimes against our frail elderly, and we need to prosecute these cases.
Juanita Woods stole rings from a dementia patient in West Allis. Elizabeth Rita filled garbage bags full of residents' valuables in Burlington. Retravian Wade repeatedly pressured a group home resident in Racine to loan him money. And then there's Tanisha Ivy.
I don't go in no one's room and steal their property.
She claimed to have found an assisted living client's debit card on the ground.
I mean, I just figured, oh, this is a card, I can use this. I mean, I'm not using my money.
Then proceeded to use it at restaurants, bars, and gas stations.
Yeah, I probably didn't use it just to see if it worked or something like that, but I just don't steal anything.
But that is stealing. Why would you use it if it's not yours to see if it worked?
You're right, you can't put that any other way, but still.
Woods, Rita, Wade, and Ivy were all found guilty of crimes and are now flagged on the state's caregiver misconduct registry. But Getch says that is the exception, not the rule.
People are reluctant to report. They're often ashamed. They're embarrassed. They don't know who to tell.
Even when they do, she says, police often treat it as a civil offense, and prosecutors are hesitant to charge.
Because maybe the person has dementia.
James is nice. James was at the other facility.
McAtee was set for trial, but as her case dragged on, Rutkowski's health declined.
Sometimes you get things mixed up.
Prosecutors eventually determined that dementia had made her an unreliable witness, so they dismissed the case. The very kind of person she took advantage of was someone who was in failing health.
Correct. It worked to her advantage,
And that failing health works to her advantage.
Yes.
That's not the case. I was there for her.
McAtee says she is the real victim.
I can't pursue nothing I want to do with my career or further myself because of this.
And she insists she didn't do anything wrong.
I did what I could for this lady. And for everybody to put me out there like I'm a bad person. I'm only guilty taking care of an elderly that did not have anybody. That's the only thing I'm guilty of.
In the end, that's true. Nicole McAtee is not guilty of a crime, but police still want you to know who she is.
It's sad.
You want some help?
Sure.
Just in case she ever comes to care for someone you love.
In Wisconsin, registered nurses, CNAs, and LPNs are all regulated by the Office of Caregiver Quality, which tracks allegations of abuse. But Nicole McAtee was a personal care worker, meaning she helped with things like meal prep, showers, and cleaning, among other things. Personal care workers in Wisconsin are not required to be licensed, and according to the state, they are not tracked or regulated. So theoretically, it seems Nicole McAtee could get another job as a personal care worker somewhere else, but of course that assumes someone would hire her, even with this charged and dismissed case on her record.
Well, Brian, so many of us have aging relatives that might end up needing this kind of care.
Absolutely.
So how can you end up protecting them from becoming victims like this?
Well, when I talk to folks at the Department of Health Services, first and foremost, they say, the adult protective service leaders in particular say, be involved. Watch their accounts closely if you can. And if you can set up things like text or email notifications for their bank accounts, do that. Now, if you suspect someone you love has been abused in any way, financially or otherwise, call your local county's Elder Adults at Risk helpline. There is one for every county in Wisconsin, and we have links to that information at fox6now.com. They say this is a much bigger problem than we often know about because it's rare that we actually hear about these cases.
To paraphrase someone in your story, it's disgusting and you can't put that any other way.
That's true.
Brian, thanks.
All right.